Hello, I'm Tristan from Smart Home Point. In today's video, I have a Philips Hue bulb installed overhead and I have a Philips Hue light strip installed around my desk, and I wanted to walk through loads of different lab formulas that exist for Philips Hue lights. Now, the reason this is important is that by default, if you launch the Philips Hue app after you've just installed a bunch of Philips Hue products, you'll probably be left disappointed. And that's because the app by default only allows you to change colour once or to select a scene, and that's it, it's static. There's no dynamic effects built into the Philips Hue app, which is a bit rubbish. But thankfully there's something called the Hue Labs that has loads of dynamic effects, which they call formulas. This is to rival things like the LIFX app, which by default has loads of different dynamic effects. So I wanted to show all these different Hue Lab formulas in this video. Let's take a look. Before we get started, the first thing to note is that if you want to experiment with the Hue Lab formulas, you cannot use the Hue Bluetooth app. You must use the main Philips Hue app with the Hue bridge. And to get started, you open the app, you go down to Explore, and then you go to Hue Labs. If we go into there, you can basically see all your lab formulas here, and you can go in and try any out that you want. So the first effect I wanted to look at is the ColorLoop Lab Formula, which I've set up to be vibrant and fast. What that means is there's a lot of different colours shown, and they flick between them very quickly, as you can see on the screen. You can, however, set this up so there's less colour variation and the colours move around a lot slower. But for the purposes of this, I just want it to be quite an in-your-face configuration, just so you could see exactly how this lab formula works. Okay, the next one I wanted to look at is live-in scenes. Now this is a more subtle effect, and I set this up to be dinner party. There's basically different palettes, colour palettes and effects you can choose. So for dinner party, as you can see, this is a lot more of a subtle and softer effect compared to the previous one. You can see there's some colour variation, especially in the light strip, and there's a little bit on the bulb overhead, but there's not as much variation with the dinner party effect. Alternatively, I also wanted to look at the over the rainbow live-in scenes effect or palette. So you can see that's selected now. And immediately you can see there's a bit more variation. This feels a lot more vibrant, and there's a bigger range of colours, as you can see. So certainly if you're looking to set the scene, you know, in the background, you might want the dinner party effect. Well, if you're looking for something a bit more in your face, you might want over the rainbow or something like ColorLoop. The next effect I wanted to look at is outdoor living scenes, and I set Soho as the effect, but you've got quite a few different ones here. And you can see the effect here. It looks kind of like daytime, or potentially it moving into nighttime. There's some nice different colours here, which you'd probably expect on a busy street like Soho. And as you can see, there's some flickering, there's some colour changes, but it's quite subtle. So this is again quite a nice sort of background effect. Next up is Cozy Homes live-in scene, and I set Scandinavian here. There's 3 different choices for the effect. And this feels like a sort of daytime colour, but with some warmth, which you'd expect for a cozy home type effect. There's some variation, especially in the brightness, to get some sort of flickering type effect, and a little bit of colour changes, but again, this is quite a subtle effect, if that's what you're looking for. Next up, Philips Hue have a Diwali effect lab formula called Festival of Lights. And it basically mimics a candlelight effect, as you can see on the screen. So this is quite a nice sort of soothing effect. And both the bulb and the light strip are dimming and brightening up. The next one I want to look at is autumn living scenes. I've got it set to the Thanksgiving effect. And I set it so it changes colour every 15 seconds. This is yet another fairly subtle lab formula. It's a bit like the dinner party effect really. You have some colour and brightness changes, but not that much. This one's slightly brighter overall than the dinner party living scenes effect. Okay, so some colour change there, but again, nothing dramatic. The next effect I wanted to look at is called Heart's Desire, Living Scenes. There's again different effects here, and again I set it so it'll change, the transition time will be fairly small, 15 seconds between different colour changes. And as you can see, there's nothing, again, this is another fairly subtle lab formula. There's some colour variation as you've just seen. The main thing with this though is brightness shifts. You know, the brightness moves around more than the colour does. And it's a nice background effect. Okay, the next one's interesting. This is Choose Your Path. It's a Star Wars one. And the way this works is basically you fill in this quiz that's on the screen, and then at the end it chooses a colour for you. So as you've seen, it's actually changed to red, and you can see me filling in this quiz. But based on my quiz answers, it decided that I'm in the dark side. So now this particular effect is just set to red, and that's about it. There's not much colour variation or brightness variation. It's more a fun quiz, essentially. And that's basically it. You fill in this quiz and then you've got that choice of colour. It chooses it for you. Next up, Halloween Haunted House. This is a fun one. So I've chosen the Haunted House effect, and basically I've got it set so there's a lot of variation in brightness. So it's changing the colour and the brightness quite a lot to make the house seem a little bit haunted. So this is quite a nice one for Halloween, as you can see. It's quite a creepy one, and sometimes it does completely turn off the lights as well, which is quite a nice effect. Okay, the next effect is Sunset Simulation, and this is quite nice. You can set it to run over 2 hours, but in this case I've got it set to be quite quick. So it starts out with a sort of a daylight type effect, as you can see, but then bit by bit it's becoming darker and darker, you know, less bright and also a bit more orangey, as you can see. And whilst this can run, as I said, over 2 hours, I have it set to run over, well, barely any time at all. So it's a very rapid simulation. Next is Holiday Living Scenes. Again, there's different effects here. And as you can see on the effect itself, in this particular one, you've got a blue type effect to begin with, but it does flick between colours. So you can see that now it's flicked more of a pinky type colour, and there's some brightness variation anyway. If you're enjoying this video, please do subscribe, because they take a lot of effort and your subscription would be really appreciated. So this is quite a nice effect overall. Next up, meditation lights. The way this works is basically you configure it how you'd like, but then it basically brightens up and dims down to actually simulate breathing. So the idea here is as it dims down and brightens back up, you're meant to inhale and exhale. So this is for effectively a visual guided meditation. Just dimming back down, and then it brightens back up, and that's for helping you control your breathing. The last effect I wanted to cover is Candlelit Romance, which is a bit like Festival of Lights. You can configure it, and it basically mimics Candlelight. So as you can see, it's sort of an orangey, yellowy type effect, and there's a lot of brightness variation. Yes, this is quite a nice effect as well, and very similar to Festival of Lights Lab Formula. Okay, that wraps up today's video. Thank you for watching it. I'm going to be doing a lot more smart lighting videos in the future, so if you like this one, please click the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.